Life is an extraordinary journey, a path that leads us through lush valleys and rugged mountains until we reach the serene heights of old age. But have you ever thought about what that view will be like? Have you ever thought about what will happen when your strength begins to decline and you are no longer able to face the challenges of life with the same energy as before? Have you ever imagined how you will feel when you can no longer make important decisions for yourself? When you have to entrust your life, your freedom, your future in the hands of your children? It's a scary prospect, isn't it? The idea of losing control, of being dependent on others, of becoming a burden to those we love. But what if I told you there was another way? A path that would allow you to live your old age with serenity, dignity, and independence. The venerable monk Tetsuan, with his profound wisdom, will guide us to the discovery of 7 fundamental principles to face the autumn of life with awareness and courage. 7 keys to not leave your old age in the hands of your children, but to remain master of your destiny, captain of your soul. And if you stay until the end of this video, you will discover a secret, an ancient truth that will allow you to live every moment to the fullest, transforming old age into a time of growth, joy, and profound serenity. But before we continue, if you are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The sun was painting the sky with shades of orange and purple above the mountain temple, while the scent of incense wafted through the ancient cypress trees. Pilgrims, who had come from every corner of the province to hear the words of the venerable monk Tetsuan, sat in silent expectation. Tetsuan, with his saffron robe and weathered face, exuded an aura of peace and wisdom. His eyes, deep as ancient wells, seemed to have peered into the soul of the world. "Welcome, my friends," he began in a calm, deep voice. "Today we will talk about a subject that we often avoid talking about, old age, a time that, like an inexorable river, flows towards the ocean of eternity. Have you ever wondered what will happen when the currents of life carry you away from the rapids of youth towards the calmer, deeper waters of old age?" A murmur arose among those present. Some nodded, others lowered their gaze, perhaps frightened by that reflection. Many people, when they reach the autumn of their lives, think that the best solution is to rely completely on their children. Tetsuan continued, "But let me ask you a question. Is this really the best way to honor the life you have been given? To give up your independence, the helm of your own existence, to rely completely on the decisions of others?" A questioning silence fell over the assembly. Tetsuan smiled sweetly. "Don't get me wrong, my friends. The love and support of your children are precious gifts, but true wisdom lies in cultivating your own autonomy, in maintaining control of your life, even when your body begins to show signs of aging. For this reason, today I will share with you 7 keys, 7 principles inspired by Buddhist wisdom that will help you live your old age with serenity and fullness. Accept what you cannot control. The art of detachment. The first step toward serenity is to accept what we cannot control. Just as a cherry tree cannot stop the wind from blowing away its petals, so we cannot control the passage of time, nor the actions of others, not even those of our children. We can only control our reactions, our choices, our attitudes toward the events of life. Tetsuan stood up and walked over to a pine bonsai lovingly tended. "Look at this tree," he said, stroking its gnarled branches. "It has been shaped by the wind, the rain, the sun. It has known harsh winters and scorching summers, yet it is still here, strong and majestic. Why? Because it has adapted. It has accepted what it could not control. It has found strength and flexibility. In the same way, he continued, we too must learn to accept the changes that life presents us. We cannot prevent our children from making their own decisions, from following their own path. We can only offer them our love, our wisdom, and let them fly free. She recalled the story of an elderly woman named Hannah, who had moved near her children in hopes of spending more time with them. But she soon realized that her children, with their families and commitments, did not have much time for her. Instead of becoming bitter, Hannah decided to devote herself to her passions. She signed up for an art class, started attending a book club, and volunteered at a senior center. In a short time, she created a new life for herself, full of friendships and satisfaction. Tetsuan concluded, understood that happiness did not depend on the constant presence of her children, but on her ability to adapt, to find new sources of joy and meaning in her life. Take the reins of your future, the wisdom of planning. The second key to a peaceful old age is planning. Don't put off important decisions until tomorrow. Don't wait for others to take control of your life. Think about your future, your needs, your desires. Where do you want to live? How do you want to manage your finances? What are your priorities? Tetsuan told the story of two friends, Kenji and Hiroki. Kenji, a far-sighted man, had carefully planned his old age. He had invested his savings, taken out health insurance, and adapted his house to make it more affordable. Hiroki, on the other hand, had preferred to live day by day, without worrying about the future. When a sudden health problem forced him to bed, Hiroki found himself in difficulty, dependent on the help of his children and with few economic resources. Kenji, on the other hand, was able to face the situation with serenity, thanks to this foresight. Planning for your future is not about being pessimistic, Tetsuan explained, but about being wise. It is about taking care of yourself, ensuring your independence and freedom of choice. Cultivate a diverse support network, the strength of community. The third key is to build a strong and diverse support network. Your children will be a key pillar, but not the only one. Cultivate friendships, build bonds with your neighbors, participate in your community activities. Tetsuan remembered the story of an old monk who lived in a small mountain village. One day, the village was hit by a strong storm that destroyed many houses, including the monks. His children, who lived far away, could not join him right away. It was his neighbors, the friends he had cultivated over the years, who helped him rebuild his house and get through that difficult time. Just as a gardener tends to different plants to create a thriving garden, Tetsuan explained, so we must cultivate different relationships to create a strong and resilient support network. Friends, neighbors, interest groups, volunteer organizations. Each bond we create is a seed that sprouts and sustains us in times of need. Stay in control of your life, the dignity of autonomy. The fourth key, my friends, is the most precious, to maintain control of your life. Do not allow the good intentions of your children or anyone else to push you into giving up the reins of your existence. Listen to advice, weigh your options, but always be the one to make the final decisions, even the smallest ones. Tetsuan told the story of an old samurai named Masamune, renowned for his skill with the sword and his wisdom. Having reached the ripe old age of 80, Masamune was still able to wield the katana with precision and skill. One day, his eldest son, concerned about his health, suggested that he retire and let him take care of the family business. Masamune, With a kind but firm smile, replied my son, I appreciate your concern, but my sword is still sharp and my mind is still clear. As long as I have the strength to hold the katana and make decisions, I will continue to do so, because my autonomy is my dignity. Like Masamune, Tetsuan continued, we too must guard our autonomy as a precious treasure. We must not be ashamed to ask for help when we need it, but we must always remember that our life is our own and that no one has the right to decide for us. Making decisions, even small ones, like what to eat for breakfast, what book to read, what activity to participate in, keeps us active, alive, and engaged. Every choice is an affirmation of our freedom, our individuality. Learn to say no, the wisdom of limits. The fifth key, my friends, is perhaps the most difficult to put into practice, learning to say no. Often, for fear of disappointing our children or hurting their feelings, we accept requests we don't want to accept. We take on responsibilities that are not ours. We say yes when we want to say no. Tetsuan paused, looking at the attentive faces of the pilgrims, but saying no, he continued in a firm voice, is not an act of selfishness, but of wisdom. It is a way of protecting our energy, our time, our serenity. It is a way of taking care of ourselves. She recalled the story of an elderly teacher named Yumiko, who after retiring devoted herself passionately to volunteer work. One day, her daughter asked her to help take care of her 3 small children. Yumiko, although she loved her grandchildren, knew that taking care of them full-time would be too much for her. With a heavy heart, but with great honesty, she said no to her daughter, explaining her reasons. The daughter, initially disappointed, understood her mother's position and found another solution. Saying no, Tetsuan concluded, can be difficult, but is an act of love for yourself and others. It is a way to establish healthy boundaries, to protect your freedom and your individuality. Adapt your environment, not your spirit, the power of adaptability. The sixth key, my friends, concerns our relationship with our environment. As we age, our bodies may undergo changes. They may become less agile, less strong, but this does not mean that we must give up our independence, our freedom of movement. Tetsuan walked to a window and pointed to the temple garden. Look at the trees, he said. Some are young and flexible. Some are old and gnarled. Yet they all find ways to grow, to adapt to their environment, to withstand the elements. Similarly, she continued, we too must learn to adapt our environment to our needs, not the other way around. If the stairs become an obstacle, install a stair lift. If the kitchen is impractical, modify it to make it more accessible. If the garden is too big to maintain, ask for help or transform it into a little corner of paradise that is easy to manage. Adapting the environment does not mean surrendering to old age, but welcoming it with wisdom, creating a space that allows us to live with comfort and dignity. It means transforming our home into an ally, into a place that supports and protects us, not into a prison that limits our freedom. Live in the present, the joy of the moment. The final key, my friends, is the simplest and yet the most profound. Live in the present. Don't let worries about the future or regrets about the past keep you from appreciating the beauty of the present moment. Tetsuan invited the pilgrims to close their eyes and concentrate on their breathing, on the sound of the wind in the leaves, on the scent of the incense. This is the present, he said in a soft voice. This is the only moment we truly have. Don't waste it needlessly. The mind, like a restless monkey, tends to jump from the past to the future, never stopping in the present. But it is in the present that we find true joy, true peace. It is in the present that we can enjoy a cup of tea, admire a flower, listen to the birds singing, hug a loved one. Learn to live in the present, Tetsuan concluded, and you will discover that old age is not a decline, but a new beginning, a time to cultivate wisdom, serenity, gratitude, a time to enjoy every moment to the full, as if it were your last. The pilgrims opened their eyes, their faces lit up with a new light. Tetsuan's words had touched their souls, awakening in them a new awareness. Old age was no longer an enemy to be feared, but an opportunity to be seized, an opportunity to live fully, wisely, and freely.